Alright, so most of our shape here is just about done. We have a couple things we want to change before we start adding words on the top of it. So the first thing we want to do is, if you'll notice here, the top of my ornament, it's kind of hard to see, so I'll flip or zoom up. It's a little thicker than this one is, and then also the bottom has a little more room to write on this shape too. And this is actually a pretty easy fix. So what we're going to do is go ahead and click our ornament at the bottom, and then we're going to choose Edit up here at the top menu, and we're going to choose Duplicate. And you don't see it do anything, but it basically creates an exact copy of the ornament inside of itself. And so it's already selected for us. Tinkercad took care of that. And the easiest way to get it off there is to use our arrow keys. And so on the bottom of my keyboard, I'm going to push up, and I'm going to do this 4 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4. That gives me just enough of a curve. It also gives me a little bit more room at the bottom. And if you click away on the side of the work plane, it does look really goofy until we group them. So again, draw a box, just covering both of them. And it doesn't matter if your box is this skinny or this skinny, as long as it's just touching those 2 shapes that we created. And we'll go ahead and click group one more time. And there's our basic shape. And then the last thing we have to do is add this little hook up here at the top. And so we'll use a tube thin. We'll bring it out here. And the other thing is, it's a little too big for us. So I'm going to zoom in, again using 2 fingers lightly on my touchpad. And if I click and hold down with the shift key, so I'm going to push shift on my keyboard, and then I'm going to click and hold down to resize this tube thin. And I'm going to push that in until it is 10 by 10. And before I add it to my design, because my ornament is 2 millimeters tall, and again I can double check that by seeing right there, I'm going to go ahead and make this 2 millimeters tall as well. So right on top of that little white square here in the middle, and if you need to zoom in, that's completely fine. But we use this one in the center, and we'll pull it up to be 2 millimeters tall as well. So there's our 2 shapes. And we'll draw a box one more time, covering that thin tube and the ornament, and we'll do adjust and align one more time up here at the top. So here's adjust and align, and then the 2 measurements we really care about is we want to go ahead and align them at the top, and then we want to go ahead and align them in the center as well. And once we have that done, we'll click up here in the work plane where there's no shapes, and it looks a little goofy still, because that shape is kind of tucked inside this one. So we'll go ahead and click our thin tube, and you can see it is just that one. If I click off to the side, now I have my big ornament. So if we click right on the orange here, whatever color yours happens to be, we can now nudge it up with the arrow keys, and all we're going to do is nudge it up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. And you can kind of tell we're in the right spot. Again, I'm going to shift and 2-finger click, but if you zoom in, this little white dot in the center pretty much touches the top of our ornament exactly. So that means we are lined up. If yours looks like that, where the white dot's too high, or that, where the white dot's too low, just use the arrow keys to nudge it up or down. And then I'm going to go ahead and hit home one more time, back us up, and then I will draw a box to cover my ornament plus the hoop at the top. And my final step will be to group these. And now I have my ornament shape that is identical to the one that I started with. So that should be the last step of our shape. If you want to change the color to make it easy to work on, that's fine. Just click your ornament shape, and you can choose your colors up here at the top. So if you want green, since it's Christmassy, that's completely fine. Just remember, whatever color you pick on the printer, that'll be the color we get instead of just this color on here. So that's our final step here. Now we'll start adding words and everything else.